Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tech Sharmit Podcast. Today, in this episode, we are going to interact with another special guest, Ruchi Yadav. Belongs from India but currently residing in Norway, and she is the one who has been selected as one of the top 50 women in Norway for tech. Not only this, she also holds the prestigious title of IBM Champion. Apart from this, there are plenty of things on which she is currently working, and by with her consistent efforts and work towards the community, she is reflecting her dedication for uplifting the India's pride in Norway. So I think it's time to initiate the discussion. But just before that, I'd like to thank Ruchi for joining us today. And now I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Amit, for having me. It is a really good opportunity to personally for me, it is a really good opportunity to help other people. Something that I'm truly motivated about. Answering to your first question, that telling a bit about myself. So currently, I am working as an integration consultant in a Norwegian firm, in a Norwegian company called Avela AS. So we basically do the integrations, be it data application integrations. So, telling you a bit about my background, I have completed my PhD in electronics and communication engineering, and that was back in 2019. And then after my marriage, I moved to Norway. So then I started looking for jobs, and meanwhile I started also working as a freelancer to gain more experience. As I told you that my background is from electronics, and then I had this transition over to computer science. That was after I completed my PhD, and so during my PhD work, I had the combination of both electronics and computer science. And that is when I realized that I think I have more inclination towards working with software, doing the part that I really like to do, that was coding. So then I had this thought that when I move to Norway, I'll definitely give a chance to switch my career from electronics to computer science. And I think that has been really uh, uh, it has not been completely a smooth ride. But when I started working with freelancer projects, so I worked with firms, helping them to make a load balancer, making the trade engine. So it has been really good. And then, yeah, so this has been my experience. So currently, I work with IBM products, with Software AG that has currently been acquired by IBM, and Microsoft Azure. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, great. So while traversing your profile, I noticed that there are plenty of things on which you are currently working, and there are many things which you have achieved. So my question is like, being an Indian, how does it feels to be recognized internationally for your achievements?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think, true, when you are when you're an Indian, when you're moving to another country, I think it brings both a lot of opportunities when you see it in that way, and the challenges at the same time. But I think it is been really wonderful. I think Norway in itself is a place with lot of opportunities. And I think it has been really, and personally, how I feel about the achievements, I think I feel like really humbled. And at the same time, it gives you the proud of a sense of responsibility that
Yes.
you have to give back to the community where you're coming from. But at the same time, I think it really requires a lot of hard work, dedication, and then you have to adjust. So as you mentioned, like in the introduction about becoming the Norwegian top 50 women in tech, I think that has been a truly proud moment, because then you're not only uh, moving ahead in your career, but you're actually representing India, and that too at a
Right.
global platform. So that really means a lot. And then the career, the year 2024 started with becoming an IBM champion. So that also really means a lot to me. So yeah, that feels amazing to be representing India.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it is a true honor to represent your country because now you are also representing the entire nation. with your work and your achievements. So that's a great thing. And I also noticed that although you have published various research paper, but I think one of your research paper has been recognized as the best research paper by the international conference. So could you please tell us about that research paper, like what was it all about and how you have prepared for it?
Yes. So the paper that was about my PhD thesis. So my PhD thesis was about the title was Detection of Epileptic Seizure using wireless sensor networks and IoT. So basically, it was revolving around helping the epileptic patients. They can be from any age group. They can be it can be to a baby who is 2 years old, 3 years old, to a person who is maybe 95 years old. So the age gap was really wide. And apart from this, I think personally, I have been so it took me 4 years to complete my PhD. So I think one of the basic setback that I had during that was there was not enough literature survey that usually you get whenever you are starting with a topic. You usually have a lot of people who have already done some progress into this. But when I started doing reading about epilepsy and finding that how fatal this problem is, but still there is not so much of research going on. So then I think that was one of the challenge. So in my paper or during my research, what I tried to do was to create a wearable device that will test that I tested on real time patients and trying to make their lives better. So I think that was a bit of a challenge for me because I think when you try as a research scholar, when you try to reach out to people to just test your device, and when they're already in trouble, so it is not very easy to even like convince them that can you please be the guinea pig, or just can I test it on you, because epilepsy in itself is something that is not predictable. You don't know when that happens to a person. That means the device that you're giving to somebody, that person has to wear it for a maybe like for the whole week, or maybe like for 24/7, just to know when how what are the parameters, how actually it gets triggered. Because that is something that is even right now a issue, that how actually it happens. So then that was my research revolving around this. So then I tried to work with more than 300 patients on real time patients. So that in itself, even I feel that was a big challenge for me, because then you have to convince a lot of patients. And even not only this, even if you see in India or in abroad, mostly you will find dedicated centers to every specific disease. But even when you see about epilepsy, they are not dedicated centers. So there is one in Bangalore. So it is really difficult to gather the data, which is somewhere plays a very important role when you're doing your research. So yeah, so that was the paper that I presented in an international conference that was held in Tokyo.
Okay.
So then I was awarded there. I think they were among 1,500 people that participated in the conference. So that was truly motivating, because then you feel okay, your work is being recognized, and not only this, that your work is being recognized at a global platform, but at the same time, if this device saves even one person's lives, I think that is completely worth it.
Yeah, sure. And I also agree that yes, it is a bit tedious job to convince the patient because they are already suffering, and at the same moment when we try to approach them in order to test something, so they are not so comfortable in order to use those things. But somehow you have did this, and I would say like with your expertise, you have touched three domain: electrical as well as medical, and currently like you are also doing your research world and IT sector. So that's a great achievement, I would say. So one more thing, Ruchi, like as a global tech woman, how you are what all initiatives are there where you are currently working for to in order to support the woman in early stage career?
Yes. So this started, I think, when I actually moved to Norway, and as I told you, I was having this. There were two different complications, or let's say two different challenges. One was when you're moving to a new country, and then specifically in India, when you're moving right after your marriage, so then you get some additional responsibilities as well. So then when I was started looking for job, and then when I landed the job, so it was a duration where it is a bit challenging when you're moving to a new country looking for a job, and it takes that time. So then so when that happened, then I I think somewhere inside me I decided that okay, there are some learnings that I've taken during this process. Be it okay, how do you make CV? Because I personally noticed that there is a huge difference how we curate, how we make the CVs in India, how we try to add every experience, how we are going to make it appeal and comparative to how it is in let's say in Norway or maybe European nations, how you present yourself. So these are really, really small things. But they are really helpful. So then I decided to be active on LinkedIn, and then I started making helping people, so that for example, if somebody else who is looking for a job, maybe they are coming from India, maybe they are coming from some other country, irrespective of their diversity, irrespective of their gender. Initially it was to help everybody, and that is what I was trying to do, be it in any terms. So when I got the job and when I started doing certifications, and when I used to post them, then people used to reach out to me, okay, how did you do this certification? How can we actually, there were many women, specifically I would like to tell, who wanted to switch their career from a completely different background. For example, there was somebody who was from Ukraine, and she was a hairdresser back then, and when this war happened, there were like so many people from Ukraine migrating to Norway. So then it is a challenge, because most of them, or maybe some of them, don't speak English that fluently. They know their base own language, and now because of the circumstances, they have to reinitiate their career, they have to start everything from the scratch. And I think then it is very difficult. So then I started helping out people. So the example that I was giving, so she was a hairdresser, then I started helping her in terms of okay, how she can actually enter into the IT field, what are the things she can start reading from. So when she actually landed a job, she is now working as a junior developer in one of the renowned companies in Norway. So then that was a motivating factor for me. I was like, okay, now I really wish to help as many people as I can, be it from any other country, be it from any other ethnicity. It is really help to the least that I can give is helping the people in any way that I can.
Yeah. Okay. And if I'm not wrong, then your education is done from India itself, right?
Yes, so I've done my bachelor's, master's, and PhD in electronics and communication, and I've completed them from India.
Okay, so like, would it be a smooth transition for you? Like, although you have mentioned that, but like, there are many people who are struggling with the opportunity because they are from a specific background, and later when they decided to move for other technologies or other domain. So, like in your case, you have also completed your PhD from electronics engineering, and later you have shifted your career to IT industry. So, was that a true smooth transition for you, or were there any challenges you faced, and if there were any challenges, like how you have tackled them?
Yeah, yeah, that's a very, very interesting question, and I really I find the platform to answer this because I think when you hear other people's story, you get inspired. So when I moved here, even I was looking for some inspiration. Okay, then somebody would let me, okay, this is a normal thing that happens. So like an example that I gave you, like moving from becoming like being an hairdresser to becoming a junior developer. So even that transition, or be it me, as an example. So when I moved, though I think I was a bit lucky that I had a bit of background in coding, so it was not very difficult for me, or maybe I knew what are the things that I'll be what challenges would I be getting. So answering to the question, I don't think it is a very smooth transition. You have challenges. For example, in my case, I was in a very tricky situation now, because I was with the background that I had PhD in electronics. So that means you cannot apply, or maybe are not eligible for junior positions, but I cannot apply for the senior position because I don't have the experience for that. So then it becomes really challenging that what you actually can do. So in that case, I think it is really important to be patient, to be consistent, and try to work. For example, in my case, I actually did freelancing work so that I can work something, I can develop something. So not only that I gain experience, but I also gain the knowledge for what I'm going to do in the future. So I think it is really important. Like if I have to give you the three tips from my learnings, what I had is to be patient. to be consistent, to be for example, not only in switching from electronics to IT, or maybe from any other field to maybe a different field. Even if you want to switch, just try to gain as much as experience, and try to take any opportunity that you get to perform into that field. So I think that is really really beneficial. And third, just be around, surround yourself with the people who are really really positive. So in my case, for example, I had my husband who was really positive. He was there. So luckily he is also in the same field. He is a backend developer, senior backend developer, who also works in Norway. So then you also have somebody to support you, then you have your family. So I think that emotional support is also important when you are going through your struggling phase. That really helps you and keeps you motivated.
Yeah, you are right. Like if because we are in different domain, and when we are trying to plan to switch to other domain, for sure we need consistent efforts. Because if you are not doing the consistent effort, then uh, as we are already from the different background, so we need some extra efforts in order to make our position in the different domain. So that I'm completely agree with you. And apart from this, as you are also working as an IBM champion, so is there any other advocacy act on which you are currently working?
Yeah. Yes. So coming to the IBM Champion, so the first thing is that I work with the IBM products. So I work with, as I earlier mentioned, that we work with integration. The company that I work with, Avella, we work with developing the integrations. So we work with the IBM product, that is Cloud Pak for integration, CP for I. So we use IBM App Connect, we use IBM API Connect, event streams, message queue. So we are using currently the IBM products. So apart from that, I try to submit the codes like in the community. Then I have a my own blog, that is ruchi.no, where I try to give the insights. I try to bring the actual use cases that not exactly the use cases that I'm developing, but somewhere how it can be used. So in that way, so that is it. And then apart from that, I think I tried to like help the people who want to, for example, like developing the workshops. So I have been giving few workshops who want to start working with the IBM products. So it is not only in the company, but also, for example, the college students. So for them, I try to develop the curriculum where I can actually help them that how they can easily switch over and start using the IBM products.
Okay, so are you taking a workshop remotely also, online?
Oh, yes, I'm doing the workshops remotely. Yes.
Okay, so for that, how the students can approach to you, is there any links, or they can directly get the information from your blog, which you mentioned, right?
Yeah, so they can either search it like on ruchi.no, that is the blog. And
Mhm.
apart from that, if they find it difficult, then they can just go on my LinkedIn and just DM me. So mostly, even the workshops that I've conducted, they were completely voluntary. So that even that I got from like LinkedIn, that people just message you, okay, for example, you have done this certifications. So now I just try to help people even with that. For example, like what are the tips, or maybe how you can actually study so that you can actually crack the exam. So you can just either DM me on LinkedIn, or maybe just go to ruchi.no.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to put the link for your blog as well as your profile, so that if there is any student who are looking to pursue their career in this particular field, so they can simply take the workshop and they can reach out to you. And apart from this, I also got to know about that you are also doing some community work for the underprivileged candidates in Norway. So could you please tell us about that thing, like how you are helping them in their education?
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, so there have been like few people that I mentioned who have been migrating from different countries. And even as I mentioned, that when you're moving to Norway, it is really okay. So mostly people in Norway, they do speak English, but it is really important, at least that is what I feel, that to know their language. For example, Norwegian, though everybody speaks very good, they are very fluent in English, but still in most of the companies, or let's say in even in the IT companies or maybe in other backgrounds, it is really important to learn Norwegian. So then even I like go to the Norskurs, like the Norwegian courses, like 4 times in a week for 2 hours to just to learn Norwegian, because it is really important to have this social circle, not only just for your personal motivation or maybe just for your personal belongings. It is also important for your professional development, that you actually imbibe into their culture, you understand how their culture is. So I think language really plays an important role. So I try to the point is, like, when I go to the Norwegian classes, I meet the people who are from different backgrounds who are learning Norwegian. So we have a small group, we have this meetup where we meet and we try to help not only each other, we try to help the people who are underprivileged. So for example, there are some students who are from I don't want to name the countries, but they
Yep.
are from different countries who have come, who do not have a proper arrangement for their education, for their homes. So we try to contribute and help them, be in terms of education, be in terms of guidance, be in terms of helping them with the resources. So that is what we try to do. And not only with this, but also I'm trying to be very active with the diversity, equity and inclusion program, because I myself, when I come from a different background, though I have been lucky that I did not have received any discrimination, be it at workplace, be it at maybe any social gathering, but I have heard about really very horrible stories as well from my co-workers, or maybe not directly from the co-workers from my workplace, but the Norwegian course that I go, or maybe for the meetups that I go, I hear people that okay, they actually face discrimination. So I have been trying to raise my voice against that. It has to be the diversity, equity has to be played. And again, that how women actually play, they should not be discriminated based on the terms of their salary, based on the terms of how they are giving the promotions. So I have been trying to help people around that.
Yeah, that's a great steps, because not only you are sharing your expertise, but you are also taking care of that someone somewhere anyone is not facing any kind of issues, such type of discrimination. So that's a great step. So, and like you are involved in various activity, like you are working. I'm assuming that you are also preparing some research paper for further research, and also you are actively involved in IBMI advocacy. So, how you are managing your professional work with such community activities? Because you are actively working for these.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's I think it's this is something that comes, I think, back from how we are grown up in India, the
Yeah.
culture that we have, that that is a very famous saying that everybody is running but nobody is on time. So I think that somewhere when you are coming from a background India where people are very, very hardworking. So when I had this transition and when I came to Norway, I think people here, they really have this really good social life, work life balance. So I think, so my job, if I have to give you like how my day usually looks, so it's from here the office or the work timing starts from morning 8 o'clock and then it ends comparatively early, like at 4 o'clock. So then and the travel time that I have, like from my house to office, is like roughly 40 minutes. So I usually try to use that time in a very productive way. I try to catch up with the news, with the new tech news, or maybe read some articles, maybe read some blogs. And when I just come back, when I go to my Norwegian class, as I mentioned, then again I have this 50 minutes of travel. Then again I try to gather as much as I can, and then I try to dedicate a bit time after coming back from everything, and just try to contribute as much as I can. And sometimes when I have like really slow weekends, I try to utilize them, make them more productive. Though it is not a very common thing in Norway, or maybe I think in European nations, people like to have this balance, and I think they take it very seriously. So I try to do so. But again, as I mentioned, when you're coming from India, you have this habit of working hard. So that I think even if you come from India, you cannot take out that Indian from within you who wants
Right.
to like work really hard, try to use every opportunity that you're provided with. So I really feel that, as I mentioned, it feels more like a sense of responsibility, that to help people, then you eventually try to find the time in any particular way. So that is what I try to do.
Okay, so yeah, we can say that you have inherited this multitasking habits from Indian culture and from your parents. So same you are
Yeah.
using utilizing in order to contribute for the society. So that's a
Mm.
great. And apart from this, like as per your so far experience in Norway, so how do you see the people living in Norway, like how they are looking towards India, or I would say the New Year India. So
Yeah.
what are their
But I think
opinions?
yeah, that's a very interesting question. I think they normally believe, or at least that is what my experience has been so far, that they have this perception. So, for example, when you introduce yourself to somebody in Norway, they are like, "Okay, I have known some Indian somewhere in my life, and I know that they're very hardworking." So, this conception is a very normal thing. At least that what I have noticed, that they believe that Indian people are very hardworking, and I believe they are. I mean, definitely they are very hardworking. And apart from that, I think uh, it is not only that. I think the people who have visited India have a very different conception about it. They know that, okay, India has developed, be it in terms of education system, be it in terms of infrastructure, be it in terms of how it is actually more vocal with the social issues that are happening globally, which was not very predominant in the previous times. So I think, but somewhere I also feel, and they really love Indian food. I think Indian food is famous in the whole world. So I think that is a really sweet thing when you hear that they are really fond of Indian food, Indian festivals, Indian colorful clothes. Because in Scandinavia, it's mostly bland colors. So I think they really appreciate that. But also at times, I really feel that some of the Indian movies, they whenever they try to compare Western culture with Indian, they show India to be very backward. For example, if they have to show, for example, even I don't want to name the movie, but they show, okay, whenever you go to India, that means you're going to see trees, mudds, buffaloes. But I think India in itself has changed so drastically. So that is a bit, but I think they really see Indians as hardworking. And though there are other, as not only the good things, but there is another side of the coin as well. When you hear people that they at times even face discrimination when they are working in different domains, different IT fields. So I also know that as I mentioned, when I was working with underprivileged candidates, when I was receiving the queries from different people, and even if some of them were from India, so they tell that okay, at times they also face discrimination, but this again, you are going to have the combination of both. So yeah, but in general, they really have good perceive they actually perceive it how we are. So that is really good.
Okay, yeah, great. That's good. Like now, people are looking India from a different perspective. They are seeing everyone as a hard worker, and they're also because people like you are already contributing not only for our own country, but we are also spreading the awareness for across the globe. So that's a good thing. And what piece of advice would you like to give those Indians? Like, let's say if someone is planning to move to Norway or maybe to any other country, so what would be your initial advice to those members?
Yeah. Yes, so this is the question I think that I myself have must have Googled a lot, like what are the things that I need to take care. But personally, if you're coming to any country, if you're planning to go, the first thing is just try to know what are the language requirements. For example, when I came, I believed I was in this preconception that because no, as I mentioned earlier, that Norway in itself is an English. People speak English. They are very fluent. They are very good in English, but still, Norwegian plays a very important role. If you want to be the part of their culture, if you want to be the part of the social circle, if you want to be very proactive in the workplace, then it is really important to learn Norwegian, which I think I started very late when I came to Norway and I was looking for a job. And when I saw, okay, most of the jobs had the requirement of speaking Norwegian. So then I started applying for the Norwegian course, and then I joined one of the Norwegian course that was in Commune. So I think learning the language, just see what are the requirements. If you, even if you feel okay, um, in most of the countries people speak English, but there are also at the same time countries which speak English, but maybe they have this the preference to their own language. So I think learning Norwegian or maybe learning the country's language is really important. Be mentally very strong, because when you're moving to new country, it just gives you a lot of butterflies, that okay, we are going to move new country, this, but after soon that excitement just flies away if the things don't go as you planned for them. So then I think it is really important to be like mentally very strong. There will be tough times, but you have to know that that is very normal, and people try to get over it. Even when I mentioned that, when even I was struggling to get a job, uh, I tried to take inspiration from people. I tried to see that how people are actually dealing with it. So it is a very completely normal thing that things will take time, but eventually we'll get over it. So that is really important. And especially in Norway, I think the it is not only the job market, it is not only the culture, but the weather. It in itself is very challenging, because here it is mostly like during the winter time. 4 months you usually have this dark period. That means the no in winters, if I have to tell, the sun rises roughly at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, and it just for like 2 or 3 hours, and it is not even like proper sunshine, it is just dark. And then 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you will just find it completely dark. And that happens for a complete like a duration of 4 months. So that means, and especially when you're coming from a tropical country like India, where you're very used to finding the sun every time, be it summer, be it winter, be in any season. So then I think it is very common, not only in people from different background, but even for Norwegian people, to deal with the depression, how to tackle, because when you're not having the sun for like 4 months continuous, then you start feeling you don't have the mood, or maybe you don't want to work that much. So I think that is really important. So just try to understand how is the climatic conditions where you're moving, how you're going to deal with them. And then just if you're hunting for the job, just be patient. It usually like specifically I think now the market is like really slow, but eventually you will get it. You have to just gain more experience. And yeah, last but not least, have your emotional support. For example, even for me, my family was always there. Be like any person that you have, for example, for me, my grandfather, my Nanaji, he has been always a very, very strong support for me. He has been one of the leading example that I try to follow through. Be it my mother, be it my brothers. It is really important, because I think from the culture that we come from, family plays a very important role. So it is really important to be in touch with them, and just try to work, and then eventually things fall into place.
Yeah, I think these are some best advice for those who are planning to move abroad, because yes, language might become a barrier, but if you are uh, with a strong mindset or being an Indian, you can tackle all the things because you have patience. Patience is very important thing, and with proper family support, yeah, you can achieve all the things that you are looking for. So although like there are many things that we can do, we can learn by the time by moving there, but yeah, these are the tips that would be very helpful for us. So is there any plan for coming back to India, maybe in the upcoming days, or to
Yeah,
conduct? Yeah.
yeah, I we currently I don't have anything planned in the schedule, because I'm just trying to focus on my career. At the same time, as I mentioned, I'm like newly married, so just trying to focus, bringing everything into place. So I don't have any concrete plans for coming back to India, but I think it is going to happen soon, because mostly I think Diwali is something that we really feel
Yeah.
like to be at home. So maybe it would be Diwali, or maybe yeah, it will be very time soon.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I think Ruchi, like there are many things that we can discuss here, but just because of the limited time, so I think we are at the good stopping point. So thank you again for joining us today and for sharing your expertise with every viewer. So thank you once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me, Amit. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.